Hello and welcome back to VHawks Podcast, where we have selected a player for every team in the first round of the NFL draft. No trades whatsoever, assuming all teams stay where they are, which is probably not going to be the case, but what the heck? Might as well put it out there. These will be our thoughts on who goes where. Matt, anything to say before we kick it off?
Jalen Ramsey trying to get traded. Not really a surprise. Ever since he's gotten to Miami, he hasn't really been that much of a factor.
Yeah, and that injury to start was
Yeah.
unlucky. So
Um, so probably look for the Dolphins to try to trade him for the draft, and probably now going to be looking for a cornerback to replace him. We are a little close to the draft, so it's probably going to be tough. It might be a draft day trade that needs to happen. I think
yeah,
we're a little too close to be a before draft, so it's either going to be day of drafts, somebody's just looking to get out of the first, second, or third rounds.
yeah,
Dolphins are like, hey, we got this cornerback. You want him? Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
Or it would probably be afterwards just for maybe a player swap or picks next year,
Yeah.
but Dolphins probably don't want that either.
Who knows what they want? I mean, they can't win with Tua. That's just my belief. So, well,
So we'll go,
maybe that's the wrong way. They just can't win in December or in winter football.
yeah. When you're playing in a warm place all year, going to -10 kind of sucks.
Yeah, especially
Also,
when you're
doesn't
used
help
to turning the heat on your opponents. Making them sit in 100-degree heat while you're in like 80, whatever. But
because
you know,
your stadium design's a bitch and a half.
yeah,
But we'll go through our mock draft. We'll have any comments specifically for players um, we think are going to be good. We'll
yeah.
see. You probably
And a
won't
lot
get
of these should be good because it's like a lot of these teams have a lot of needs, and of course, every team has at least a few. So I feel like there shouldn't be any shockers here. Maybe like some team we had reach up and grab interior offensive lineman or a D tackle, even though you think like, man, that team's already stacked at that position. You got to just keep in mind with this draft, there are so many trenches guys in here. So you gotta you got to believe that they're going to grab the top guys while they're there.
the
So,
only real shocking things is going to be how many running backs go in the first round since the we've seen a bit of a resurgence of running backs the past few years, specifically last year. Um, and then does somebody go for that third or fourth quarterback in the first round after the first two? I personally think we probably won't be seeing a third or fourth quarterback off the board till maybe second, early or late third.
yeah,
Um, Really, after you get done with Shador, it falls off from there.
mm,
But I guess we'll start off with the number one pick, and I think we are both in agreement. Cam Ward.
agreement that Cam Ward from Miami, QB for the Tennessee Titans. And this is one I honestly don't think Tennessee's going to trade back. I think they have decided Levis is not the guy, which is unfortunate because I like the guy, but they
It just
haven't
hasn't
given him
worked
enough
out.
weapons. Yeah, I mean, like honestly, what I would love to see is if they do trade back and are able to actually build the trenches, maybe give him another weapon. Like I think he could work out, but. I think with all the interceptions that he's thrown, it might just be, hey, it's not worth the risk anymore. Let's just keep starting from scratch. But
And the funny thing about Cam Ward is he's been known for having issues with throwing interceptions because he'll throw cross body across the field and it'll just be picked off in the middle of the field. And it's just so you're probably
yeah,
looking at something of a repeat with him, especially if that offensive line is not corrected.
yeah,
But all the reports are saying it's Cam Ward. They are basically
right.
saying we need one hell of a price now for
Mhm.
you to get the first pick, and I don't think anybody's going to get give that much for Cam Ward, which not a lot of people really care for these QBs. So
Yeah. And I mean that could be just to raise the price tag. Because I mean, honestly, They probably should just go offensive line if they can pull off trade backs and get the prices for it. I think they'll do it. But as
Though
of
if you're
now, I
asking for
think
such a
it
big
makes the most
price,
sense.
is it worth it?
Well, I mean, you're gonna if you're a team, you're gonna make it seem as hard as possible to get it, so the teams offer you more, and you're gonna take the most. But it'd be stupid to be like, "Hey, we're kind of looking to move away from the first round." Then they're gonna lower the offer, and they'll be like, "Okay, we'll come up to here instead.
Well, then it's
It's a
called
high
you put
price.
a
Okay, well, here's a pretty good thing. We'll go up here."
it's called you put a bidding war on others.
Yeah,
I don't see what they've been doing as trying to get somebody to pay a stupid amount. I think this is really the Titans are looking at Cam Ward. They just don't want to say it outright. Um, but all indications.
yeah.
Two, I have Travis Hunter, quarterback, wide receiver, Colorado.
Mhm.
He
Me
wants to
too.
play. Oh, sorry.
No, I have him as well. Like we both said, he wants to play both ways. I think the Browns are one of the teams that will let him do it. I honestly think that, they'll try him. I mean, he was coached by Dion, who's one of the only players who has played both ways. And I think that like on a regular basis, I should say, because obviously Edelman had a lot of defensive snaps when the defense went down for Patriots. But anyway, I think they'll give him good snaps. I think any team will try him out. Now, obviously, at the NFL level, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. And maybe they recognize that they need him much more as an offensive weapon, or they want to pair him up with Ward and create just like the next great secondary. Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Or maybe it'll be a situation where like, okay, we're going to do one of those two things, but we're still going to give him snaps because he's just such a great playmaker. We need him out there. And maybe it works out for him. But for the most part, I think they're going to draft him. They might make him happy and draft him as like the both way player, like he wants to be, and as he was told the reporters. But I think for the most part, he's playing probably 90% of the snaps on one position.
We'll see what happens. I could also see Abdul Carter being picked here, just to put him with Miles Garrett, and that would just be a
Yeah.
dangerous defensive line,
Yeah.
especially with the quarterbacks in that conference. You're going to need those guys, and especially if the Steelers do get Aaron Rodgers. Well, that's just called 3-2-1. Who gets to Aaron Rodgers first? Um,
Yeah.
but I could see either or. For me, for the Giants, I see it being Abdul Carter, or if the Browns do somehow take Abdul Carter first, it would be Travis Hunter. Those two guys are going three or 2 and 3. I don't see any change happening from that.
Gotcha. I'm take Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. Um, Arguably one of the best true corners in the draft. The Giants have a ton of positions of need.
Yeah,
I don't know if they go edge. They've got who they've got Neal, and they've got Dexter Lawrence in the middle.
Brian Branch
Thibodeau,
as well.
Brian Branch. So I don't really see them going into the trenches. I mean, they could. Again, like it's just such a deep class that they get the best guy. Like they'll build one of the best defensive lines in football. But in my opinion, they've already got a top 10. Um, so I think they're going to address that secondary. I mean, again, losing Xavier McKinney to the Packers last year, you definitely saw an effect. I think they're going to try and rebuild part of that secondary. So, but yeah, I could see a line player being drafted. I just think that a lot of these teams, I mean, they're the teams in the bottom are there for a reason. They've got a ton of needs. As we get further up, we'll be like, okay, maybe these teams have like three or four needs across the board. But right now, you're looking at teams who have a whole dang like set of needs right here. So some of ours may actually be more different than we think. Speaking of Wills, I have the second Will Campbell, going to the Patriots at 4, offensive tackle from LSU. That's been the most talked about thing when everybody's talked about the Patriots is they need offensive line help. They
Because
went
they
out and did
put
it in free agency, but they've got to keep hitting it because they had so much issues last year.
because they put a bunch of money in their defense and getting weapons for Drake May. So really, this draft is going to be building up the offensive line and protecting Drake May. I have Will Campbell as well. yes, the Patriots do need them, but they also kind of got screwed from the Giants getting Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, where you were looking at potentially if the Giants were grabbing Shador at 3, whoever the Browns didn't pick, you would have the chance to get that top defender or Travis Hunter.
Right.
But at this point, just take the offensive lineman, build that line, make the
Mhm.
smart pick, Patriots.
Yeah. And honestly, one of the it's probably the best offensive lineman in the draft. So if you're looking for tackle, so and then I think it's your next.
Next up, I have Mason Graham from Michigan. Jaguars really need anything to help save them right now. You could just toss a dart at a
Yeah,
dartboard, and whatever it hits, you pick, and it would probably fill a hole. Um, I just feel like at this point, just picking best position or best available, get Mason Graham, build up that defensive line,
yeah.
um, just start the rebuild. It's kind of all they have left.
It's where it's coming. I have Mason Graham as well. I agree with all your points. There's really not much else to say. For the Raiders, there's so many different ways they could go here. They could take Shador Sanders if he falls, which I still don't have him picked yet. They could go running back. They could go offensive line. They could go defensive line. Like they have so many needs. I have them taking McMillan, the wide receiver, first one off the board for me. I mean, when you think of the Raiders wide receiver core. You've got what's his face, who's really
Jacoby
good.
Myers, and that's basically
Yeah,
it right
Jacoby
now.
Myers, and after him, I like to put respect on his name. Yet I can't remember his name, but it's been a while since I've watched Raiders football. Um, but I mean, after that, who's there? It's exactly the point. Like, who do they have? I mean, if you're at 6, you can get the best wide receiver on the board in a draft where the wide receivers fall off quickly. And I think there's a great chance that this happens for them, that they're able to get the first wide receiver,
Because I don't
just
see,
because of
other
the value.
than Travis Hunter, none of these teams are going to waste one of those picks for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Um,
And also, he's out of Arizona, forgot to mention. We're going to include the information. So, but
I
yeah,
have
like we
Ashton
said, the
Genty.
Raiders have so many, so many needs. Go ahead.
I have Genty from Boise State, the running back. I'm a little worried about him because watching him versus Penn State in the playoffs, once his offensive line was outmatched, he couldn't really do much. He finally got a little bit going the second half, but even then, it was a struggle to get going. So, and in the NFL, if you're not on a great team, you're not going to have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and you're going to have to break tackles. You're going to have to make moves behind the line of scrimmage to try to get those 3, 4 yards. And he's more of a speedy guy. So do have a few concerns, but I do see the Raiders picking him here. I do not see them getting Shador yet. They just signed Geno to that extension. I don't see them just drafting his replacement right now when I think he's going to be there for like 3 years. Um, that might just be if Geno doesn't work. You're looking at next year's draft.
Mm.
I feel like they get Ashton Genty here. They don't really have a running back right now. Geno needs that run game to help balance the game for him. So I feel like get the best running back off the board.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. I think it's a matter of, again, they need a running back and a wide receiver. They need it bad. So, I mean, I think I just went with Teratoa because there's more running backs available with value in this draft than there are wide receivers. So I had them take wide receiver knowing that they'll probably get a running back in the second round. So was my mindset there. Anyway, I think you start with the Jets.
with the Jets, I got Armin Mimbo. Mimbo. I'm just going to
I
say
have them
right now,
too.
apologies for
Armand Membo. Armand Membo.
apologies for these last names. We're going to butcher them.
Yes.
People butcher my last name, so I completely understand. So I'm just going to say our apologies now.
Our
The
apologies.
offensive tackle from Missouri, the Jets really need to build up that offensive line. They don't really have many holes elsewhere that they need to focus on right now. It's just protect Justin Fields. Yes, can he run, but do you really want him running around everywhere, every single play? Didn't work for Chicago. I don't think you want to have that. Build up the offensive line so you can get that run game going as well. Make that a combo with him and Justin Fields and Brees Hall, I believe.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I just see they don't really have there weren't really any other players there for them to grab, so just get the offensive tackle, build up that O line. Never
Yeah,
hurts.
that's the most pressing need. I chose him as well. Moving on to the Panthers, I have them taking Abdul Carter. That he fell all the way to 8 for me.
Okay.
Just because of all the needs, I think again, like with how deep the trenches are in this draft, I think that the teams above with how many needs that again, this could go any type of way. I'm taking it of the mindset of the teams going, okay, we have needs all around here. I'm gonna take who is going to be the best in the earlier rounds that we don't have a lot of great stock moving forward when there's going to be great defensive linemen. There's going to be great edge players. There's going to be great interior and exterior offensive linemen. Like we're going to see a ton of picks throughout the draft. Like heck, we might have another Jason Kelsey who we there's a good chance this draft that we're gonna have another Jason Kelsey like player who's gonna be in the later round, but he's gonna be end up being one of the best at the position. Like that's how deep this class is. So I have them taking edge. I don't think they really need anybody in the secondary. You know, they just signed J.C. Horn to that huge extension. They've got a pretty good secondary. They need pressure. I mean, obviously losing um, Hassan Reddick, I think was on their team
No,
a
they
year or two
traded
ago.
Branch last year.
Branch. Yep.
I don't think Hassan was on that.
Maybe not. Yeah. But anyway, they need pressure on the quarterbacks. Granted, they could use another offensive weapon as well, but they've got their running back already. You still got Thielen. You've still got a few fast guys on the team you're hoping to develop who haven't been big names yet, but I think they go for the edge guy. Start building up that defense.
You or me in the same position, but because I already had Abdul Carter coming off the board, I had them picking Jalen Walker,
Hmm.
the edge from Georgia. I agree with your points. I feel like getting some pressure off the edge. They built that defense in free agency, so we'll see how much that comes together. But I feel like the Panthers are going to be in a good spot next year. Falcons don't really know what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Um, who else?
The Saints are in a mess.
Saints.
Derek Carr is probably
Saints are in
already
a
out for the
mess.
season.
Yeah,
Um, then you got the Bucks, who are probably going to win the division again.
yeah.
So
But even they're not an invincible team. They've been winning the division, but it hasn't been by that much. It's not like they're getting 11 to 12 wins. They're more around 9 to 10.
yeah,
Um, so I feel like the Panthers could make a jump for it if um, Bryce Young. I was having Bryce Hall in my head. I don't know why.
yes,
Uh,
we're all having brain malfunctions. It's right after work for me, and right after a bunch of studying for him. So you know, it's a grind. But
but if
yeah, I mean,
Bryce
with that
Young,
division, it's always a toss up, and and we don't even know how good Penix is going to be because if he ends up starting again with the whole new season, I could see the Falcons winning that division. Like their roster is built to win. So
but
I
can they put
mean,
it together? That's been
yeah,
their main
can
issue.
the Q is the QB play going to get there? That's the only question they have because they've got the roster. Um, but anyway, uh, we'll just get through the Saints pick in 3, 2, 1.
Shedeur
Shador
Sanders.
Sanders. Again, I've touched on it earlier with Derek Carr's injury. Spencer
They need
Rattler
somebody.
was decent so, you know, last year. I mean, granted, he's thrown into the position way too early, was not expected to really have to play at all. So I think for his circumstance, he did decent. I think overall, though, you'd look at him and go, eh.
You don't
But I
want that
mean,
being the guy.
I don't think you exactly. I don't think you want to be the guy. I think the Saints need a dual threat, especially him with Alvin Kamara. If he can actually stay healthy, that would be one heck of a RPO combination. They have a lot of needs as well, but I think they go ahead and take their quarterback now.
If they're
Again,
like
with the weak division, they try make something happen.
if their wide receivers can be healthy and Alvin Kamara can be healthy as well, if you have Shedeur Sanders on that offense, that could actually get interesting. I don't
Yeah.
think Shedeur is going to be this world destroyer right away. I don't think he'll ever get to that point. I think there's a pretty serious ceiling there for him, but I think it would at least make the Saints interesting next year, and they haven't really been able to say that since week 2 of last year. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the play style, RPO options with them, but the Saints have not had a mobile quarterback in a while. So, I mean, you had Drew Brees all those years. I don't think they've had
it was
anybody
really just
that's been like
Taysom Hill.
a dual threat. Taysom, exactly. And when Taysom Hill's come in, he's done great. So it's like, but then they know to expect that when Taysom Hill comes into the game as QB. So it's more of a prep. Plus, he's not like the extremely fast move around. It's just he can run through you because he's such a
Yeah.
big dude. He's originally a tight end. So, I mean, that's where he plays most of the time when he's not needed at quarterback. And I think that Shador gives them an actual speedy guy in the back who could give them trouble, especially when you're expecting Kamara to break off a huge catch and run or just a huge run. And all of a sudden, you've just got Shador running around back there launching a bomb, or you have him running around the opposite of Kamara and just running down the field. Like, gives them a new option. Anyway, bouncing off of yours, I have Jalen Walker going to the Bears. I don't see a world in which they don't go offensive line or defensive line. One, because of how the draft is set up, and two, because of how Ben Johnson is. Like they already went out and proved they're going to build up the offensive line. I think their plan is to get an edge player or an interior defensive lineman, first round of the draft. Now they could surprise us. They could go get their secondary, although they just signed one of their guys to a extension. But I think they do need some help there. Um, I think overall, though, they need their guys to work out. Um, I think they'll have to see how much they added to help Caleb Williams with their offseason moves, but I think overall, edge or interior defensive lineman is where they're going to go.
Okay, again, we're thinking of the same position just because I had the guys picked before. I have Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M, coming to the Bears. Just feel like they've built their offensive line. They made some moves for their defense, keep building up that defense. I don't really think they need to do much more for their offense, except maybe a few more pieces with the offensive line. They've got their weapons, maybe a running back. That's pretty much it. Going on to 11, I have Will Johnson, the quarterback from Michigan, going to the 49ers. They've lost a lot of defensive players, so just start rebuilding that roster of youth and
Yeah.
best available player, bring them in, get working on rebuilding.
Okay. And we're on the Niners now,
Yes.
right? Okay. I have Jade Barron, cornerback from Texas, and that's just because of how many cornerbacks I had go early. Um, Again, the 49ers lost just so many pieces on defense, but you still got Nick Bosa holding down the fort. I think they still have pieces on that defensive line. They've got good depth. That's never been like a worry for that team as a whole. So I don't think that's where they go immediately to address it. They probably wait till those mid rounds to go build up where they lost. So I think secondary is going to be where they address first. Um, this is going to take way too long, so we're gonna try and speed through these players. We're kind of just gonna say who we pick and be like, okay, yeah, makes sense for the position, but we'll stop each other from be like, really? You think they'll take him? But otherwise, did you already say your Niners pick or no?
Yeah, Will Johnson, the
Okay.
cornerback,
All right, Cowboys. I have them taking Ashton
Ashton
GD.
Jeanty.
Yeah, Genty, the running back from Boise State, just because I didn't have any other team take him
Yeah, I
before.
agree with that. They need to. They brought in a couple serviceable running backs, but not much as your
They
guy.
need their guy. I think they're gonna get their guy if it falls to them. So
I since I already had Jeanty going earlier, I had them getting McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. Give somebody to put on the opposite side of CeeDee Lamb. Finally, have that two guy for Dak.
yeah, they give somebody else to be a part of the offense.
Yeah,
Okay, Dolphins. I had them take Kelvin Banks, tackle from Texas, just something to help the offensive line.
same
You too.
brother.
Okay, cool. Colts, I had them take Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State.
Yeah, especially with the quarterbacks they have, they're going to need that tight end just to be the blanket guy,
Yep.
especially Daniel Jones. If that's going to be your starter, God help you. Um,
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then edge, similar to what we were saying, just the depth of position. I had the Falcons take Shamar Stewart, because they also need help on the edge. So,
and I had them taking Michael Williams, the edge from Georgia.
yep.
Just they have their offensive pieces, they have their secondary pieces. They've been struggling to get any sort of pressure on the quarterback, so I feel like that's where they're going to be going.
Michael Williams is
For
my pick for the Cardinals. So
Michael Williams is
the
your
guy you just said, yeah, yeah, we're going edge down the down the list. So
I don't remember how many edge players were left at that point. I think most of them are gone at this point. So I had Jade Barron, the cornerback from Texas, building up that secondary. Um, the Cardinals are just trying to find some pieces that can fit right now. They've been continuing to have a roster that can compete, but for some reason or another, it just doesn't gel during the year, and they just can't get over the hump.
right. I was looking to see like, what do you mean? There's a bunch of edge guys, but I forgot you took all the edges first, and I took all the corners. So now I'm like, wait, where's that guy? I'm like, oh, he's on the first part of the list.
No, I
Speaking of
lied.
edge guys, for the Bengals, I have them taking Mike Green because
I
we don't know what's going on with Trey Hendrickson,
yeah.
and even if they resign him, they still need help on anywhere they can get on the defense. But it would help if they resign Trey Hendrickson, then get a good guy on the other side of him. So
I think I had
I'm taking
Jade
Mike
Barron
Green.
as just the best available player at that time. I had Mike Green going to the Bengals just for that reason. We don't know what Trey Hendrickson is going to do. I feel like just bringing a replacement as a just in case. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Congrats, Mike Green. If it's up to us, you're going to the Bengals. For the Seahawks, who goes first for each other's teams?
I guess I'll go first for my Seahawks, and then you'll go first for your Vikings.
Okay.
I have them getting Josh Simmons from Ohio State, the offensive tackle. They need to build up the line. What I'd like for them to go get a wide receiver here, especially with Matthew Golden further down the list for me. Yes, but they just need to build the O line. We can't be focusing on the sexy picks right now. Our O line's trash. We need to build it up. I feel like this is going to be the start of fixing up the O line in the draft.
There you go. I do have you guys taking Matthew Golden, and again, this is just my whole aspect that I've repeated before. It's just like there's only a few good wide receivers. Take him there. You guys have 10 picks.
I would not be
Stock up
surprised if we got Golden here if he was still available.
stock up on the lines in the mid rounds. Like I think you guys are golden to take a wide receiver at your pick. I also wouldn't be surprised if you guys traded down. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
or traded up with your second picks. We've talked about it before. Um, I'm gonna let you start with the Buccaneers because I need to start with Broncos. So
Okay. I have them taking Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Just building up
same
that
brothers.
defense. They've got their offense right now. A lot of the offensive linemen had already been taken in my list, so
Yeah.
best available defensive player, take them, build up that defense. Not a bad pick for the Buccaneers.
Exactly. I mean, they need that, and I think safety was the other thing to go along with Antoine Winfield Jr.
Mhm.
So, and I don't think I had a safety worth at least high enough on the list there, or it was a cornerback, and I had all the corners taken. So that's
Yeah,
probably
because
the more likely one.
my next
So,
safety or my first safety I think is at 24. So
gotcha. Okay. And then at 20, I have to announce this one because this is who I'm hoping falls to the Vikings at 24.
Loveland,
Colston Loveland, tight
yep,
end from Michigan. Um, the
they
Broncos
need
really
that
do
tight
need a tight
ends.
end. That's like the only thing they don't have for Bo Nix right now. Um,
And
I'm really
especially
hoping
for
they get somebody else.
what's his name? I'm forgetting. Bad coach.
Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton. He likes to have those weapons. Um,
Mhm.
you remember how good Jimmy Graham was when he was with the Saints.
Yeah.
They don't have a tight end right now. Colston Loveland's on the board. I just feel like he's going to go to the Broncos here.
For those who
Um,
don't know, I'm upset with how I picked this draft unbiasedly because Colston Loveland was JJ McCarthy's tight end at Michigan, was a very good target for him. So if he falls to 24, not only is it a position of need because we only have Hawkinson and Oliver more of a blocking tight end, it would be great to have him there not only for a third person at that position, but also to give JJ McCarthy that familiarity.
you're not
You
gonna like
give
my
him
pick at
every
23.
single thing he needs, huh?
You're not gonna like my pick at 23.
Yeah, it's all good. Um, but just give him everything he needs. But anyway, he goes to the Broncos in that simulation. So
All right, so Steelers, there wasn't really much here. Could I see them taking a quarterback here and just especially if Aaron Rodgers isn't signed and they need a quarterback, do I see them going for desperation here? Possibly. Um, if somehow Shador falls, I think they probably grab him here, but I don't really see that happening. I have them taking Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, the running back. I just feel like they don't have. I don't think they even have a running back right now.
Warren, right? Warren's the guy, I guess.
I think he's the only one left
Right?
because
Yeah,
what's his name went to the Chargers, I
Najee
believe.
Harris. Yeah.
Yeah, Najee Harris, I think, went to the Chargers. So I just feel like making that running back room stronger. You don't
Yeah.
really have anything else. You don't really need Golden here. You have DK and
Pickens.
Pickens.
We're
Sorry,
helping each other out where we
yeah.
can.
Um,
It's a tough life out here.
but yeah, unless they are trying to trade Pickens, I don't see them taking Golden here. So I see them just getting their running back and building on that.
They can't trade their cancers, man. They need them. They need those fights. They need the oomph factors. No, I get it. Running back would be a good selection for them here. I don't think they quite take the jump. I think they go Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman from Michigan. Honestly, I think just getting JJ or not JJ, TJ Watt more help um, is just going to be amazing. Steelers football is really just about defense. If they
At
can
nine
make
and
it
seven.
stronger, then huh?
At 9-7.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I mean, if Aaron Rodgers does go there, it'll become okay. Well, can the Hail Marys to DK and Pickens work out?
F it, they're
Um,
down there somewhere.
but yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, they're both big-bodied receivers. They both can make crazy catches, so they're both really fast. So it's whatever. But I have them taking defensive line. Honestly, I don't think the Steelers are in a position where they're going to have a bad selection. I honestly don't think anybody in this first round is going to be in a position where they're like, I don't like our pick, except for whoever picks Shador Sanders, because they're probably like, we don't want a quarterback this year. We want him next year. So, and
The
that's
tank
not even
for
a shot
Archie
at
Manning is
Shador.
on.
It's just like this draft class is just so good at the positions of need that every team would love to have more linemen. Um, it's
Unless you
just
need a
like,
QB.
yeah, but mostly, and a lot of these teams do need a QB, and a lot of these teams need wide receivers, but there's not that many good wide receivers either, so it's just tough. Anyway, going into the Chargers, I have them taking Derek Harmon, defensive lineman out of Oregon. John Harbaugh football or Jim Harbaugh football
John Harbaugh.
is
Or no,
run the
no, no, no,
ball.
no. Jim.
Gotcha. Yeah, run the ball, play good defense. Defensive lineman makes a lot of sense for their pick here.
I have them taking actually Matthew Golden, to be honest. I feel like they kind of learned their lessons from last season of, okay, we actually do need some wide receivers that can catch the football.
Yeah, I think
And
if I didn't have y'all take him, I'd have them take him.
yeah,
It's true.
and just having one wide receiver or one decent wide receiver on the roster just ain't going to do it. And we saw that
Decent.
versus Houston.
What are you talking about? Decent. Lab McConkey is great. I'm not even trying to be joking, but like I'm smiling a little
I'm
bit,
just
but like
saying,
he
like
is
the
actually
bare
great
minimum,
already.
you
Yeah,
can't have the bare minimum and get away with it.
correct. I
Um,
agree.
going on to 23 before you go on to your Vikings, I actually have them taking
Mhm.
Kenneth Grant, the defensive lineman from Michigan. Um,
Why do I hate that pick? I'm not attached to Michigan.
well, it's a Michigan guy tackling a Michigan guy.
Ah, Yeah. I mean, I just really care about the Colston Loveland JJ McCarthy connection would be cool. But I mean, he's got to go up against Darisaw or O'Neal. I'm not I'm not too concerned.
Okay, if Kenneth
So
Grant gets a sack on JJ McCarthy next season,
it'll be
remember
because
this clip.
it'll be because he lined up against Blake Brandel at left guard. Um, but no, I mean he'll probably get a sack. I don't know. Like it offensive line is just so weird, and JJ McCarthy might move around. You never know what's going to happen. Like I'm just saying, like I'm not concerned about a Michigan guy being a Michigan guy. Like, oh, I know where JJ McCarthy's going to go. No, you don't. It's Kevin O'Connell's system. Like
You
I'm
know
not
his
really concerned
tendencies,
there.
though.
So yeah, you know some of his tendencies. You could try to help point it out, I guess. So I mean, I
Or
guess for that reason,
like
I'm kind of like,
where
yeah.
does he release the throw where you can put your arm up for it?
Yeah, maybe he'll be able to get an increased fumble chance, something like that. But overall, I think Packers have to go edge rusher anyway. So I have them taking James Pierce Jr. Edge from Tennessee. Either
I think
way,
we're just in agreement defensive line here.
yeah, if they don't take an edge rusher, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna have a very fun time. I'm gonna laugh. Well, okay. Before that, I'm going to wait and see if the Vikings take somebody or trade down. If they take somebody I like or trade down, then I'm gonna laugh at the Packers because I don't want to have the, you know, jinxing going on. So it will be a delayed reaction. Um, but speaking of my Vikings, I have them going Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman out of Alabama. I know that's a little bit of a reach because he was projected 30th in the draft, but I really do believe center, I think, is where he played, and that is where we need the most help. Granted, like we do want a left guard to compete immediately, but with Ryan Kelly as our center, albeit one of the greatest centers to do it, he is up there in age. So we're going to need a guy to replace him. And I think Tyler Booker can be that guy. Um, and maybe we do slide him to left guard before Ryan Kelly retires. Like, I don't know. But either way, interior offensive line has always been our weakness. I'm already happy with what we've done to address it. If we go more and hard into the paint into it, I'll be even happier. So,
I will say, I hadn't thought about this yet when I was doing the mock draft. Depending on how the Green Bay situation is, I forgot what the name of the cornerback is, but depending how that situation's
Jair
going,
Alexander.
yeah, Jair.
Mm,
Depending on where the cornerbacks are at in this draft at that point,
mm.
I could see them going for his
They might,
replacement
yeah.
there, just so if something does happen, they have a back out. Um,
That's true. If it's like my draft though, and the cornerbacks are all taken a bunch before, and they go like safety or something other than edge, it's just gonna be like,
well, speaking of safety, I
okay.
have Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia, going to the Vikings.
Mhm. Makes sense. I
Or
mean, again, it's another position of need. You gotta find Harrison Smith's replacement. You gotta find Ryan Kelly's replacement or a left guard competitor right now. You can never have enough cornerbacks because we're taking chances on guys who've been injured or suspended. And interior defensive line, we just addressed it, but you can never have too many of those guys either. So I mean, you know, and then we need a running back eventually, but again, there's later rounds for that as well. So it's just as long as we get one of those positions and a tight end, which is why I'm hoping Colson Loveland falls, because then we just address it early and we don't have to worry about a tight end whatsoever in the later draft. Um, we only have 4 picks anyway, so we're not going to address all that we need. That's why I want Colson Loveland so bad, is because we already have the guys that we need to start the season. But if TJ Hawkinson gets hurt again, and with Josh Oliver being a primarily blocking tight end, it would be really good to just lock up that tight end room immediately, to where we don't have to worry about it. But everything we need after that is pretty much just depth pieces. So, um, and again, maybe somebody to compete with the left guard. But anyway, moving on to the Texans, I have them taking Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. I don't know what the Texans were doing this offseason, but they better have plans to just draft O line across the board.
yeah, I have them taking Gray Zabel, the interior offensive lineman from North Dakota State. I think he was just the best offensive lineman available at the time. Um, Probably need to zoom for these last ones.
Yeah.
Um, Rams, I have them taking Josh Connolly Jr., the offensive tackle from Oregon,
I have them taking
helping
a
out
Mick
Stafford.
Abuba, wide receiver, Ohio State, because they don't have any receivers outside Puka.
Devontae Adams?
Oh yeah, he just got there. My bad. It still said it was a need, but and they're having what's his name, Tutu Atwell, I think,
I
try to
think
step
so.
up or Johnson. Yeah, but anyway, they could still go for a guy, but I think yours is more likely. I
Ravens,
forgot
I have
about
them
Devontae Adams.
taking Tyler Booker, the interior offensive lineman from Alabama, boosting up that offensive line, especially with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I have them taking Malachi Starks, so we just flipped the purple team's picks. So that's funny. And then speaking of Gray Zabel, I have Gray Zabel going to the Lions.
I actually have them taking Derek Harmon, the defensive lineman from Oregon. I feel like they need to build up on the defensive line once Hawkinson, no, Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Once he got hurt, they really had issues getting pressure on, so just building up the defensive line to help him out. Um, Washington, I have them taking James Pierce Jr., the edge from Tennessee. Just with how that conference or that division's looking, they're going to need to be able to rush the passer, stop the run. So bring in an edge piece to help out with that defensive line.
Yeah, I had them going a different direction. This is where I had Omarion Hampton going, the running back from North Carolina, just because of how injury prone Robinson can be
That's right.
and how up there in age Eckler is. I think it just makes a lot of sense for them to make the RB pick here, especially with how many defensive linemen I've had taken in my simulation. Now, if I was in Matt's, um, then I think, well, actually, no, we you drafted more defensive lineman because you just got the James Pierce. So never mind. Um, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think Omarion Hampton works here, but
I think my only issue was he was already taken, so
yeah.
both of the top
Mm.
running backs are off the board. I don't think they're going to reach for a running back here, probably in the second round. Bills, I have them helping out Josh Allen with Emeka Ekbuku, the wide receiver from Ohio State. They saw what happened last time when they left a great wide receiver on the board. I pray to
Yeah.
God they don't do it again, especially who's at 31.
The Chiefs will
Um,
trade up one spot for him, conditional seventh,
with the Bills,
and with the
we're doing this shit
no,
again.
the Bills will give them a conditional seventh to move down to 31.
Yeah,
No, I'm
and
just
then the
messing.
Chiefs are going to take Ekbuku and screw the rest of the NFL again.
Yeah.
Um,
I have the Bills taking Donovan Ziroku, edge from Boston College. Um, I mean, again, if the wide receivers don't go off the boards like I have them going, then I think they go edge rusher because they need to rush the passer and they need somebody for Josh Allen to throw the ball to. Those should be their main needs here. So I think if they get lucky and a wide receiver falls, not just to spite the Chiefs, but to help their team, they need to draft wide receiver at 30. But I had the wide receivers go early. So
and with the Chiefs, I think at this point there weren't many offensive linemen left on the board, at least high up, which they do need to help that offensive line, especially after what happened to them in the Super Bowl. I have them getting Walter Nolan, defensive lineman from Mississippi. Um, there wasn't really many spots that they needed, and this was just kind of the best available defensive player I had left on the board.
mm. um I had them take Josh Connolly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon. Because after what happened to the Eagles, I don't think they can be happy with that offensive line
No,
currently. So I think they're gonna address it no matter what. Um And then speaking of Walter Nolan, I have him going to the Eagles because there was a great safety available for great value and great corner available for great value in the draft. And I just saw Walter Nolan sitting there at like the third or fourth suggestion for the Eagles. And I'm like, when do they not draft defensive linemen that are just going to kick everyone's ass? So they're going to
No,
take Walter Nolan.
he's
He's
not
going
from
to be a
Georgia.
great.
He's not
It
from
doesn't
Georgia.
matter. It doesn't matter. They're the king of the trenches. They're going to take a trench guy.
Well,
It doesn't, they'll load up anyway. But it's just like they should take a safety or a cornerback here. But knowing the Eagles, they'll draft another defensive lineman, and each defensive lineman they have will have at least 8 sacks. And it's just like it's gonna be crazy. I just don't. The Eagles are doing it right. I wish the Vikings would. It looks like we're trying to. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, your Eagles pick.
yeah, with the Chiefs taking, or with the Rams taking Josh Connolly, kind of just left Walter Nolan for the Chiefs. And then with Walter Nolan off the board, I had them taking Nick Amonwori, the safety from South Carolina.
Gotcha.
So they do
There you
get their
go.
safety in my draft. I
Yeah,
don't think they'd be mad with either pick.
there you go. And again, like there's safeties that I snubbed here. And I definitely reached for a few teams because I think that it just more of them made sense to me, but
And that's what happens, though.
it's based on their need, and honestly like a lot of people are going to disagree with both of our lists, and I think it's warranted, but I honestly think you just have to look at the teams and be like, okay, just make sure they don't draft a position they already have like decent players at. A lot like pretty much every team here except for the last four. I mean, even the Commanders have and Bills have needs, so maybe just the last two have
Everybody needs
various
something.
positions they need, like not just one position. So you're hoping that they just choose one of maybe three or four, and then with the top 10 teams, you're like, okay, can we pick one of the 8 positions we need? Like that's all you're looking for.
And here's the thing with the Eagles, they lost pieces this offseason. So it's not
Yeah,
like they're completely whole either. So they're
exactly.
going to need to load up on youth. And even I think it was either the GM or the owner after the Super Bowl was like, we just got to load up on youth in this draft. They lost guys, salary cap kind of hit them. A lot of teams came and stole their players. So
Yeah.
a lot of teams need holes, and this is going to be a draft of filling in those holes for the future. Um, we see other drafts that are like not much talent. These top two rounds are going to be you are win or losing the next 5 years. Like these
Mm.
decisions are going to be you make or break your team just because of how important some of these pieces are going to be.
For teams that don't have a lot of their roster set, I
Well,
agree.
yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, I don't the Vikings don't
It's
have a
not going to
second
make or
round
break
pick.
the Eagles or the Chiefs or the
Yeah.
Bills.
But I feel like if the Vikings don't, if we don't trade up or trade down or trade up to get a second pick, I think whoever our first round pick is, I think we're still set to win in the future. I think it's more of just like teams that don't have much now. This is where you get it, or in the top few rounds. But I think even in the mid rounds, like for teams like the Vikings who mainly are just looking for depth pieces and are looking for competition in the interior of each line or a cornerback, this is the draft to get them in the mid rounds. Um, so I mean, like again, if defensive line and offensive line are the needs, you're gonna get it in this draft no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. Um, but it's those few positions that are gonna be like, okay, can you build your team up? If you've got a ton of draft picks, can you literally build your line from scratch? Like that's what Seattle should do. It's just like, can we build our offensive line from
Yeah.
scratch with this draft? So,
And they've
it'll be
got plenty
interesting.
of picks to do it. So
Yeah. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but, it's just going to be another draft like all the rest, but there's
and
just
people
so
will lose
many
their jobs over it.
somehow, some way. I don't see how teams can mess this up. Like
And they
the
will.
fans, the
That's the
fans
issue.
will go against it some way, but again, like there's so many needs for a team that you can't really look at it and go, why'd they take a safety? Well, it's like, you need a safety. It's like, why'd they take an offensive lineman? You need an offensive lineman.
Well, it's
It's
like if Cameron Ward sucks, they're all fired.
yeah,
If Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter suck, they lose their jobs.
Oh yeah, if the player doesn't turn out, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying like immediately after the draft, if there's
Oh
so
no,
much backlash
that's
and
what always
analysts going
happens.
giving them crap, it's like, well, it only should be true crap if they picked a position they don't need. So at least with the first round.
And
So
Giants, good thing there is no Duke quarterback in the draft this year, I don't believe. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll be okay.
yeah.
I don't even think there's a UNC quarterback in this draft. So,
Speaking of the Giants, I think the Giants could trade back in this draft. Because I mean, they're at three.
yeah. And
Somebody could want to come up there and grab and beat and leapfrog another team. I think they could trade back and get some picks. The Giants have a lot of work to do. So, and
especially
they don't need a quarterback right now.
If the Browns take Travis Hunter and it's just Abdul Carter left, I could see the Giants doing that. I just feel like
They don't need to though. Like I said, they've got their defensive line that they
well, no,
could
no, no,
trade
no.
back.
I'm saying if it
So,
was just Abdul Carter left, then I could see them doing that.
yeah.
Now, if the Browns took Abdul Carter to put him with um,
Thibodeau.
Miles Garrett, um,
Oh, the Browns, yeah, for
yeah,
Miles Garrett. Sorry, I thought you Giants. Anyway,
then
yeah.
I would probably see the Giants taking Travis Hunter if they've expressed
Oh,
interest in
yeah.
him. Um,
That's what I'm saying. If Abdul Carter is the one that falls to three, I think the Giants would try to trade back. Not maybe not
it's just,
try,
can
but
you
like
get
they
enough
would definitely take something
compensation?
off. Can they get the compensation? Exactly. But if Travis Hunter's the one who falls, they're going to take because they need a corner and they need a wide
Yeah.
receiver. So I mean, Giants would also be an organization that I think I think most organizations will try Travis Hunter, especially because he wants to do it. They'll be like, okay, let's see if it can work. We'll do it in increments. But
Here's
I
probably
think
what's going to
they'll
happen.
see what happens.
They let him do it for the first game,
Yeah.
and then when he's beat to hell,
Mm,
that's going to be his. I, I, I,
yeah.
I,
Yeah. But they'll
I'll
give
sit
him
my
his
ass
first
down on the
game.
bench for half the
If he
game.
does well in the game, they might give him more. But then, like, if they start seeing him get really gassed, which is probably going to happen in the NFL,
Well, you
I
have
think
players
they're going to
getting
start.
gassed and they only play
Yeah.
half the game.
Yeah.
Like when those teams are
Well,
doing 8 to 9 to do the
half
Saints
the
or no,
game's different when you're always on the field. But I get what you mean. Like there's a lot of guys gas when they're only playing one position. But if you're put in a box to where you're always on defense because your team can't hold on to the ball and they're constantly punting, like it makes sense. Which the Browns will probably do. But I mean, it's
especially
which
with
is
their
why I think
quarterbacks.
they'll be, they'll probably try him and be like, "Hey, you're gonna get gassed. Let's get
Do
you
we
out." But if
know?
he's a receiver, though, he's gonna go in, he's gonna go out. Like receivers go in and out.
Do
So
we know if the Browns play Miami at Miami?
if the Browns play Miami, I don't know.
Because if they
I'll look
play
it
at
up here.
Miami, that might be the game that finally kicks his ass to the ground, and he's going to have to slow it down.
Okay,
Playing in
Browns
that 100-degree
opponents.
heat,
Let's see. Nope, they have the Dolphins in Cleveland.
yes,
So, but they do have to go face the Raiders, which
that's in a dome.
that's literally the most southern place they have. They have the Bears, the
The fuck?
Bengals, the Jets, the Lions, the Patriots, the Raiders, which is the southernmost, Ravens
And
and
that's in a
Steelers.
dome.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of north and south,
Yeah,
the Raiders are the southernmost team.
and that doesn't
Everything
even
else is
matter.
in the north. Yeah. So they're playing in the cold no matter what.
So yeah, he'll probably
So
be.
so he might be fine.
Yeah,
Um But again, like I honestly, the Miami thing would kill him. That he wouldn't, and that might even be an organization that play him. Even if he's fine, they might be like, "Hey, this is Miami. Pick a position,
no, yeah.
stick with it." Yeah,
Or we will
like
give you like
three
50-50 on
snaps.
drives.
Yeah, and again, I don't see a pro. He's gonna turn into a DB, and I think he'll be a rotational receiver. He's gonna be a wide receiver four, to
Yeah.
where maybe he's really good at in the red zone, and they'll be like, okay, red zone plays, you got a few plays here. Other than that, you're DB, or maybe they need a chunk play, and he's the chunk play guy. Like I don't know, but I see a world in which whoever takes him or whoever gets him, if teams trade later years, I think they're going to try him at both places and see what they want to do. And I think they'll end up giving, it's not going to be 100% one way. I think he will end up taking snaps at both. It's just going to be what percentage and what will be his main position.
Because here's his issue. It's one of those things where he's the jack of all trades, master of none. He's not an elite wide receiver. He's not an elite lockdown cornerback. He's just great because he can play both positions at a
He
decent
is good at
level.
both, though. He is good at
Well,
both
I'm not
positions.
saying he's
Yeah.
bad. I'm
Yeah,
just
but he's
saying
not the great.
like
He's not locked in. Yeah.
you
Hmm.
can't force him to one side of the ball and then expect him to be this world beater. Like he's not going to go beat your best or their best corner. He's not going to go lock down their number one wide receiver all game. He's had issues in college where he got burnt or he got locked up.
Hmm.
And now it doesn't help his quarterback was throwing sailing ass passes where he had to make these miracle plays or miracle catches to catch the football. That's another
Yeah.
discussion about Shedeur Sanders for a different day, but
Hmm.
I just feel the issue of doing both ways. I don't think it's sustainable, but you can't put him to one position either because he's not going to be that good. And especially with how mad Browns fans are right now, they can't take any sort of failure on that route.
Yeah. I think that honestly, with that prediction or with that you said, my prediction is he's going to be depending on what the Browns run. If they run zone coverage, he's going to be a zone corner. But if they go man to man, he's going to be lined up against the team's second receiver. And then he is going to definitely play that fourth receiver role. He is going to be thrown in every so often,
He
um,
will play, but it
for
will be limited.
he will play. It will be limited. Exactly. Because I mean, we have our fourth string wide receiver come in. Everybody's got, guys when they have a long developing play, you
Jake
switch out real quick.
Bobo,
Yeah. Brandon Powell for us, Trent Sherfield for like we had our wide receiver for us come in a bunch. So I mean, will they make the catches? No, but are they out there and they need to be covered? Yeah. Travis Hunter could be one of those guys where you're like, he hasn't been out here at all, and all of a sudden he's got a catch. I don't know, but I think that that'll be what happens. And again, maybe he proves us all wrong and can play both sides of the way. Maybe he's good enough. I mean, on the Browns or the Giants, he might be good enough to just make both sides
he'll be their
because
second best wide receivers on both
he'll be
rosters.
their
So
second best wide receiver. He'll probably be their second best corner. So they might be like, you know what? What the heck, guy? Run wild. Do both.
now, if he
Our
gets
team isn't
injured,
going anywhere anyway.
if for some reason, now I'm not wishing injury, don't take it this way, but if he ever does get injured, I think that's going to be a once he's healthy, that's going to be come sit in the office, we're having a long chat.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a wear and tear injury where it's just he's extending himself so much, it's just not possible. I think that might be the point where he's finally shut down and said and being told, you pick a position, we'll
Yeah.
support your decision, but
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
like
true.
end of a game, if it's a we need a Hail Mary or we need to block a Hail Mary, might they put him out there?
Oh, you
Sure.
put anybody in there.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Anybody that knows how
So,
to catch a ball, who can knock down a ball, who can make athletic plays. Shit,
yeah.
Gronk was out there for Hail Marys for the Patriots. Kind of
Yeah. Well, I
screwed him
mean,
in the
you you
Miami
you
play.
you pick the biggest guys. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Or the
that's the
most
whole
athletic.
point. So, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're on defense, you can just pick tall ass guys like they did Gronk. Like, just pick the biggest dudes sometimes and put them in there along with some of your speedy corners that cover. That way you're not
Yeah.
lacking in speed. But I mean,
Miami
if you're
Miracle.
throwing a jump ball and you have a 6'6" lineman
Yeah.
out there ready to bat it down, I mean, like, it's not a bad idea to have them there. So, um, what's just gonna be really funny though is the quarterback drops back for the Hail Mary, the defense rushes one, and the one gets home. That's gonna be one heck of a funny event. Especially like if he like runs right through and it's not like the quarterback's bouncing around and the tackle's having a hard time going for him or whatever. It'll just be like he just straight up gets beat or something and the other guys can't get to him. It's gonna be crazy. And
And
because
I
I
will
said that, it'll
say
happen to us.
this as we wrap up. He is only 6'1", 185.
Travis
He's
Hunter.
not that big of a dude, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
So
But
he's
he's
not going to be able to
shifty,
be
and
taking these hits.
he's shifty, and I think that he could be a slot or a zone cover corner, easy.
Slot's probably
And
the
I think
best.
and I think he could be a wide receiver four, maybe even a three. Like I think he can do it. It's just his
He's not going to be
endurance. I
able to
mean,
go against. Oh,
he's
sorry,
been
you go.
doing it his whole life, so I think he could like. It's gonna be up to can he stay fast enough to do both? Is this endurance gonna be able to keep it up? That's where his whole life experience thing comes into play, where it's like, okay, maybe he can actually do it. Um, and I mean, again, he had coaching from Dion too. I'm sure Dion sat with him a bunch of times and probably even practiced with him and told him like, hey, here's how you stay rested. Here's how
Yeah.
you play both sides of the ball. Here's when to, sit in coverage. Here's when to run with him the whole time. Like I think he's probably given him that whole discussion. Um, so I'm hoping he proves us wrong because I want him to succeed. But I don't see a problem with him, being thrown in there a few times at receiver, but being mostly a corner. Or maybe if a corner goes down, and if he's mainly a wide receiver, I think they put him in. Like, why not? So,
My only point with that is he's not going to be able to be facing these just quick, small receivers that are in college football.
right.
When you're going to have to go up against a guy like DK Metcalf or Justin Jefferson,
Yeah.
that's going to be an issue. And he's going to have to learn how to adjust or put on some weight in the offseason. And
Right.
don't know if he has, but again, I hope it works out for him. I just have my worries about it and him going as a second or third guy or potentially fourth. That's dangerous, and the team's going to have to be sure that they know how they're going to use him, how to protect him from himself. Because a lot of these young guys, they feel like they're invincible, and
They get to the NFL, they have their welcome to the NFL moment.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
just hope it's something that's not serious for him. So
Yeah.
if you know how to use them, good. Well, restart
Like I
that.
said, they just need to run a zone defense, or they need to specifically have a guy planned out each week to be like, that's who you're covering if you're in a man coverage defense. I think that'll work for him. I think that should be fine. Because again, like I mean, yes, the athletic plays from guys like DK Metcalf who have just pure size and maybe even speed on you, right, are gonna be just
Tough.
unfortunate, and you're probably not going to be lined up against him anymore,
No.
or you're going to get a ton of help, in which case it won't really matter because if you get
You'll
beat in
have a
double or
safety
triple
blanket in
coverage,
you.
then it's like, you, that safety, and maybe that other corner, other safety, you're all equally responsible for the catch. But yeah, I think he can make it. He has a chance, and I'm not going to be too quickly to judge on him, but I think he is going to have to see just how tough it is. But I don't. I think there is a world in which he plays both. I just don't see a world in which he's wide receiver 1/2 and cornerback 1/2. I think
He's
he's
not gonna be able
cornerback
to have them.
two, wide receiver four. That's what I see.
Because I'll say this and then we'll wrap up, or we'll end. Um, there's a reason these teams are down here because they're not well run.
You know,
And we say he shouldn't be a cornerback, wide receiver, 1, 2, both sides.
the Browns and the Giants are
What are they
bad
gonna do?
organizations.
What are
They're
they
gonna
gonna do?
do it. They're gonna do it. And we play both of them. The Vikings play the Browns and the Giants. So we'll most likely we'll have the Travis Hunter experience. So because dude, we play the AFC North and the NFC East. That is really funny with how that works out with Travis Hunter. But anyway, we've taken up a lot of time on this podcast, but we did get through our
We thought
first
this would be
round.
short.
Um, yeah. Honestly, my idea was better. I was just gonna say let's just run through the Vikings and the Seahawks picks. With us only having four, would have been really with them having 10, but Vikings only have four picks,
You would have been
so
sitting there for a while.
probably, yeah. But I mean, hey, I still would have gone shorter. Anyway, like we said, there's a lot of interpretation. I think that mainly what we got caught up into is just like, there's so many positions of need where they need to be helped with, like, you know. we'll have our post-draft coverage, mainly for our teams. Maybe we'll do another one like separately about the other teams. That way we're not too over. And I think that one may probably just be like, why did they pick this position? You've got two all
It's going
pros
to be
at this
more
position.
just
Like,
our shock picks.
yeah. Who picked Bijan Robinson this time? Even though like he's a great player, but like he was drafted so high for a running back.
Or who grabbed a
So
quarterback and then grabbed another quarterback?
yeah,
Giants.
that would be yeah, probably. But anyway, also I've seen a lot of takes that Bijan Robinson is better than Jahmyr Gibbs. Bro, like the only thing
No.
backing up that argument is that the offensive line of the Lions is elite. But
And Jahmyr Gibbs has the
He's
Sonic
called Sonic
knuckles.
for a reason,
Yeah.
man. Like, plus he's strong too. Like, people underestimate his size. I mean, it's probably because he's got Montgomery as knuckles, but because he's a big back to take down.
But when Montgomery
But
went
dude's
down,
strong.
Jahmyr was still doing shit.
Oh yeah,
And I've
he's a
seen
beast.
Bijan get stuffed before.
Yeah. No, and Algier is his Montgomery. Like you've seen both. Like they both have the same position. Now again, the Lions' offensive line is much better than the Falcons, so I get that part of the argument. There is something to be said that like if Bijan was on the Lions' offensive line, maybe they'd be closer. But I still think Jahmyr Gibbs is better.
But still, in the NFL, you need to know how to hit those holes.
Mm,
This isn't college football where you're going to have holes made for you. You're going to need to know where to hit because
yeah.
reinforcements are coming fast.
But there's also a difference in the Lions' offensive line to where they're already to the second level after they've cleared you the first hole. Like again, they are the best offensive line in the league. As soon as Jason Kelsey retired, the Lions had the best offensive line in the league. I think they still sustain that at least until they had some injuries last year. Um, and so now you're kind of looking around like they probably still will have one of the best. I don't know if it'll be the best, but like the Falcons, middle of the road, I believe. I'm not really sure where they ranked, but I know it was not high. But I think it was maybe average. But the Lions were the best offensive line, and I think they were the best last year as well. So I mean, like they're able to just get so much room for everybody. Like
But
it's
it's
crazy. I
still
mean,
not close.
Goff
Jahmyr Gibbs is
has
better
no
than Bijan.
pressure for the most part on him when that offensive line is fully healthy, and that their running game is almost unstoppable, and that is for a reason. That offensive line moves everything, and like that's the only part of the argument that I do get. But I mean,
Jahmyr
that's
Gibbs
the
is
part
still
of it
better.
where it's like the Lions, hey, we're gonna make it college football because our offensive line is gonna be so good to where we're gonna make you holes, and that's you just go watch some Lions tape, man. Come back to me after you watch the
You act
Lions
like I
offensive line.
haven't.
Go do a deep dive or something. So, well, no, I mean, I believe you watched the Lions, but it's probably the same amount that I've watched the NFC West, right? Like I see it twice a week, every single effing play, or twice a season rather, and I also see it a lot of time because I'll watch them play the Packers, I'll watch them play the Bears. I'll watch some of the really good games like the Bills. Um, like I will watch them constantly, and I'll just be amazed. It'd be like, huh? It'd be really nice if the Vikings actually were to invest in their offensive line, because then we'd be able to see guys bulldoze everybody and get to the second level and hit the linebacker, so the running back can just weave his way through, or just be able to give our quarterback 8 to 10 seconds, like Goff gets a lot.
I still
Just
say in the NFL, it also requires a good running back to know what he's doing.
oh no, but I mean nobody's saying that Jahmyr Gibbs and or Bijan Robinson are bad running backs. They're both great.
I'm just saying
That's what I'm
Jahmyr Gibbs
saying.
is above Bijan.
Yeah. And I mean, I came in saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that the part of the argument that would leave it unproven is if you were to give them both the same offensive line, how would they do? I think you'd see it. I think the bridge would be closer. I think you'd be like, okay, Jahmyr Gibbs edges him out, but it wouldn't be like, oh, he just clears him like it is right now.
Though it's also, you can say Jahmyr Gibbs has a better offensive line. They also go against better defensive lines than the Falcons do.
Depends on the schedule. We we played the AFC South last year. I wouldn't say that's much at all. And then we played the NFC West, which I mean, sorry, no offense, but like defensive line wise, you got Nick Bosa. The rest of the injured 49ers squad. Who do the Cardinals have? Um, the Rams,
Rams have a good D line.
they have a decent D line. The Lions and the Rams are the only teams that beat the Vikings, and they just did it by blitzing the hell out of us. Like, let's be
So
honest,
are you
they
saying they
didn't.
didn't have a good D line if they were blitzing the shit out of you?
Well, if they wouldn't need to blitz the shit out of us if they had a good D line. That's what I'm saying. Like they started beating us because they just were able to rush 6 or 7 people at us. If they stuck with their base four and got to us, they wouldn't be blitzing us. So there's no point. Like that's what I like. Literally, the Lions, especially like you brought up with Aiden Hutchinson going down, the Lions literally sent the house a ton of times, and Darnold had no answers. But yeah, no, I get it. Anyway, but yeah, the defenses we faced, mm-mm, not as good.
I'd have to look back at the Falcons schedule.
Yeah, I mean Falcons versus Lions. Look at the D line versus each team, but the AFC South D line, nothing really stands out too much in terms of like, oh, you got a ton of guys, and then the NFC West D line, Nick Bosa,
You're just
because you
gonna
can't
act
really
like
count the other
Seattle doesn't
49ers
have
because they're
anybody on their
injured.
defensive line?
Huh?
You're gonna act like Seattle didn't have anybody on their defensive line?
Okay, you guys got some guys on the interior. I give you that. Like you do, but I mean it's not like a ton of standout guys, a ton of teams. You know what I mean? Like it's not,
Well, there's not really a
standout.
ton of defensive like you don't really have many Micah Parsons. Um, but we can have a discussion for a different day. We've been this is
Ranks
yeah.
defensive lines we'll have to
Yeah.
see overall, but I just did because the Vikings offensive line is bad. Other than the tackles, we have one of the best tackle duos in the league. But if we were able to handle most of our teams, even the interior, that means their defensive line was not that good because we suck with our interior offensive line. So that's a huge gauge of how good their line is. So we'll see. Um, if we actually look it up. So because I don't even remember which divisions the Falcons played, but
I think
probably the East.
NFC
So
West.
at NFC East, it has to be um because we played y'all, so it's not the North or the West. So they played
No.
the East. So they had to face the Eagles. They had to face Micah Parsons. They had to face that
Was Micah even
49ers,
healthy at that
or not
time?
49ers, not 49ers, what the Commanders front.
Commanders.
They had to face the Giants D line. That there's a freaking gauntlet for you right now. And then who'd you guys play? The AFC. You played the AFC East. We played the South, so they had to either play the North, which if you play the AFC North, that's a freaking gauntlet too. Or they played the AFC West, which you've got Chris Jones, you've got Karlaftis, you've got Joey Bosa. Okay, yeah, they 100% had a way tougher defensive line schedule than we did. Are you freaking kidding me? Especially if they played the AFC North. Tell me they played the AFC North.
Did you forget
Those
they
are the
played the
two,
Chiefs?
huh?
Did you forget they played the Chiefs?
Who did?
The Falcons.
Okay, so it was the West. That's the second. I'd say that's the second best D line in the AFC, though. First is definitely the AFC North. Like if you're ranking by division, the best defensive line in the AFC is the
Okay, we need to
NFC,
end
or
this
is
video
it's the
because we're over an hour.
AFC North. Yeah, it's
Well,
all
we can
good.
have this discussion for a different day, but we're
That's true.
over an hour plus, so
All right.
peace.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see y'all after the draft. I think maybe we'll release like a post after the draft or during. We'll figure it out.
You'll see
Nobody really
something.
watches this anyway.